Not everybody has the ability to focus on the game for 10 hours a day, but throwing it up on a second monitor and AFKing while you get some work done is a great way to make some passive GP or gain some XP. And with that in mind, welcome to AFKing 9 to 5. Fellas, another AFKing video back to back. This probably won't happen that often, but this just came out, so I obviously want to make a video on forestry. For this video, I just wanted to see how AFK forestry could be. Before we really get into it, I probably need to talk about the way that most people are doing forestry right now. There's a really good way to just get a ton of bark and pretty good XP. This is just by joining a CC and listening to the callouts. Bodhi CC, Roots CC, and I think Forestry CC are going pretty strong right now. I did a little through the CC, and I definitely got about 2 to 3 times more bark and a little bit more XP. Some of the CCs can be a little bit confusing if you don't know the callouts, so I'm going to quickly break them down. This is South Mage, this is North Mage, this is Church, this is North Sears, this is Bees, Draenor is right here, but they will say Draenor Oaks if it's not this one. Myths is the Myths Guild, Yaks is the Arctic Pines on Nature's Knot, this is Prifteeks, and this is Zalcano. If you join one of these CCs, good luck, and now you know what to do. Okay, but let's actually talk about AFKing forestry. I did a lot of woodcutting this week, like a lot of woodcutting. On day 1, I decided to do yew trees. This was my plan all along, so I really didn't want to change it. And to be honest, this video was supposed to be redwood bonfires, but those aren't coming out till part 2. If you didn't know, one of the big changes with forestry is that they actually changed how trees work. Each tree now has a unique despawn timer. This has changed from rolling a tree to be chopped down every time you receive a log. This kind of made every regular tree much better, but it actually made redwood trees kind of worse. This update kind of killed redwoods, so I don't think it would have been a good idea to do redwoods in this video. I do, however, want to test them in this format once two-handed axes come out, but I guess we'll save that video for later in September. But the trees that I'm focusing on for this video are yews, magics, and even Arctic pine trees. This is Catherby Yews, a very nostalgic place. There was a lot of people here when I was doing this. Forestry has only a couple of events right now. You got the leprechaun. This little guy spawns and lets you bank all your logs. Most people get very mad when this spawns, but it was kind of nice when I was doing this. I really wish it didn't happen so frequently, but you know, it is what it is. It's like 100 people. Obviously, some people are going to spawn it. There's the sapling event. A little sapling will spawn, and you have to figure out which combination of ingredients make the best mulch. You get more enema bark for making the correct ingredients, but I'm going to be honest, when this came up, I just spammed 3 of the closest one to it. There's the bees event. In this event, you need to find 2 flowers. One needs to be pollinated and the other one has pollen. Once you find the pollen, you just click back and forth over and over again. During my day, I did not do this single event once. It was too much clicking and not AFK enough. And finally, the roots event. This is the best event in forestry in my opinion. A bunch of tree roots spawn from the ground, you click on one and cut them down. There will be one that has this mint color to it, and this one gives you bonus bark. So obviously you want to click this one. Throughout my day cutting at yews, I pretty much did every single root event. I probably did about 50% of the saplings and 0 of the bees. I always used the leprechaun, but I still had to bank pretty frequently here. And you know, I kind of felt like this guy most of the day. But after my 8 hours of woodcutting, I was getting 67.9 thousand XP every hour. And this is up from what yews were before. I also gained 7,500 fire making XP every hour, so it wasn't bad. So in 8 hours of cutting yew trees, I gained 544,000 woodcutting experience and 60,000 fire making experience. Pretty damn good. As for forestry rewards, I gained just over 7,500 enema bark, 20 willow leaves, 160 maple leaves, 526 yew leaves, and 100 magic leaves. I don't think the leaves have any use yet, but they will in part 2, so it might be worthwhile to hang on to them for now. But after that, I went to sleep and got ready for day 2. I didn't want to spend my bark from day 1, so I just quickly bought a log basket and went on with my day. I bought the log basket because I figured it would make it even more AFK, and it did. On day 2, I cut magic logs. This was my second choice, and I didn't actually know where people were cutting, but I showed up here and to my surprise, there was a lot of people. I decided to use the myth skill just because there were 4 magic trees so close to each other, as well as being pretty close to a bank. The way I did woodcutting today was very similar to how I did it the day before. If the roots spawned, I cut them every single time. If the sapling spawned, I only did it if there was a mulch ingredient right next to the sapling. I then spammed it 3 times and put it onto the sapling. This obviously means I didn't get the maximum amount of bark, but brother, it was Thursday afternoon. I had work to do. And to my surprise, magic trees were worse than yew trees. In 8 hours, I got 437k, meaning I only got 54.6k XP per hour. I got 40,000 fire making XP, and somehow yews are now better than magic trees for XP. The only thing I did different today is that I bought a bunch of secateurs before I started woodcutting. I bought these on the GE, and I did this so that I would get more leaves. But you know, somehow I actually got less leaves than I did the day before. I think this just means I did less events than I did the day before, which makes sense. I was a little bit busier today. And I did use an infernal axe here, which was probably a mistake. I only got 529 magic logs for the entire day. This is in combination with the infernal axe, as well as some of the logs cut per hour being allocated to actually cutting the roots. But still, overall, if I could pick between these two, I would pick the yew tree every time. The only good thing about the magic trees was that I only banked 3 times. This could be because I bought the log basket in the morning, but I just felt like I really wasn't getting that many logs. And on day 3, I got called into a meeting at 1 p.m. So I could only do 4 hours of woodcutting. But for day 3, I was cutting Arctic pine logs. Today I decided no events, only roots. In 4 hours, I gained 104,000 XP. The XP here was substantially worse, but to be honest, a lot of XP comes from those little events. You get so much XP from doing the sapling in the B event, so I missed out on a lot by just AFK. Luckily for me though, on day 3, I put away the infernal axe and just used a regular dragon axe. This meant I got to keep all my logs, and the reason why Arctic pines are popular right now is because they are quite expensive. These logs are going for a similar price to magic logs, and you cut them way faster. In only 4 hours of cutting, I cut 1,824 Arctic pines. The guide price for them was 710, but they actually ended up selling on the GE for 820. While I was there, people were talking about selling them for close to 900, but of course the price will probably fall as the day goes on. It might not be a bad idea to do these in prep for phase 2, but you could also just buy them on the GE and hold them until the next part. But yeah, that was my experience with the first 3 days of forestry and trying to AFK it as much as possible. I'm pretty sure I have enough bark for everything, but I am waiting for the collection log to be added. It is very AFKable and you will definitely get bark. You will obviously get more if you play the game actively, but for me, I would probably choose the yew trees for now, and if something gets added in the future, I'll let you know. Forestry offers me a good amount of content, especially for videos. As of this point, I kind of need to wait for part 2. So when part 2 comes out, you can expect a 2-handed axes video on redwoods, as well as fire making XP from bonfires. Thank you to my YouTube channel members Dino and Snacks. In the next episode, I think I'm going to make a lot of money through a mining activity. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, I've got nothing left to say. So I'll see you in the next one.